Happy Monday, everyone. This is Crypto and Coffee with the Trading Bros. I'm your host, Clutch Crypto. We have B. Wellington. He's excited this morning. He's already on the charts. So let's see what you're looking at, man. I'm interested to find out and let's see what we can tell our viewers.
Right. So this is a daily on USD or on Ethereum USD. Right. We kind of start off with this chart because it's a very indication, and it also allows us to look at what we were talking about yesterday. And so, here we are. We're still under the 800 EMA. We did expect a rally up, right? So can't go down forever. We've had this big long move. We've had this wick that came all the way down to 1694, so essentially 1700. And then, quickly moved back up. This wick here is an area of concern, or area of imbalance, I should say, not concern, depending on, which way you see the market going. And so generally when we broke through that 800, came back up, touched it here, came back down, I believe we're gonna test this 800. We may even come up past it a little bit. That would be an indication to me that, they're trying to trap traders, to the upside. Everybody's interested in buying the dip, and we are kind of below some major, we're at, I should say, major support areas here. So the thinking would be that we've held support. I mean, I know a lot of people are waiting for us to touch this again as well. But looking at funding rate and things of that nature, I do see a lot of folks that are, starting to go long, but we have recovered this here. So this wick is just an area that I think that we'll return back to when, that, who knows. But generally when they break below, on lower time frames, we look at this pattern. If it breaks below this area, it'll generally come retest, or it may even come up and retest the 800 or the 50 on the daily, which, if you look at this chart, is last week's low or last week's high, right in this area. And so that's not inconceivable that we get up there. I mean, these are fast moves that are happening, but right now, as Clutch has said, we've kind of kicked it over the weekend to the upside. And so if we look at the hourly, I've got all my lines on here. But again, I see 2163 as an area that, is going to be a critical area. I mean, we're busting through on the hourly, we busted through the 200 here. We'll probably come back, retest this 200. And at that point, we're either going to bounce off it and head back up, in which, again, I'll look at this 2163. But what the real test, I believe, is going to be getting up to this 800 EMA, which is going to be that 2427, 2430 area. So if we do break through here, come back and retest, test, and see some volume coming into this area, and see some vector candles coming in this area, I think we'll quickly get up to this 2418 area, 2420. But it's going to be determined primarily on what we do in this area. If we come back, touch, and then move out with some velocity, then I see us making that move. If we come up and we kind of hang in this area off of that 200, the more we hang out, the more I believe that we have some downside potential. So generally, I mean, this is kind of a secondary retrace that we're looking at, just kind of on a larger scale. But we'll see if this holds. But I think just from a macro standpoint, overall, I think we're going to the downside. Clutch, you want to add something?
Yeah, just as an FYI, I'm a CME guy. We are currently above Friday's close, which was 1968. And we still have the one at 2683 that we have yet to close in over 2 weeks. So, it was kind of interesting the way you spoke about those ranges without even really knowing you were talking about those ranges, because those are both the areas we got to get to, and hopefully it happens this week.
We'll see. So getting down to the 14-minute, again, same story here. I mean, these EMAs are basically the other EMAs on the other charts, and set, just in different time frames. So this 800 EMA on this chart is basically the 200 EMA on the hourly that we just looked at. And we can see a little bit closer here. We've got, the crossing coming, which would indicate a movement to the upside. We've got daily open here, so if we can come back, retest that daily open, that's actually a positive sign for us going up. So that if it does test and then continue back up with some volume and with some speed, I believe that our next area of interest will be what we had talked about before. So, not to beat a dead horse, we always look at funding rates. So we'll hop over to Coin Analyze like we do every day to take a look at sentiment. You've got mostly positive across the board, but you have some exchanges like BitMEX, OKX, and Kraken. Kraken's been negative for a while, so this is the first time they've kind of flipped on the funding rate side, even though short term they're still somewhat to the downside. BitMEX and OKX being an exchange where a lot of large traders lie, so this also could be hedging in here. So that's what we kind of talked about. So I sent you that text what we need to look at. So that is part of the conversation here on Binance. Let's go back to just OI in general. Let's just see if we can pull this up. So OI is back over 5.1 billion. So they have had, OI has returns fairly quickly. So we've got price moving up, and not surprisingly, we've got OI moving up, as well. And so what I'll say about this is, on these dips here, and as we move up and on these dips here, generally if these move in opposite direction, that means that folks are closing positions. So in this area, if it's in line, especially if you've got some downside action, you generally see that means that people are buying, opening up from that end just based upon that bit of activity. So we're in the beginning of the week, so this is May 23rd. We do have some folks that are speaking today. So two Fed presidents are speaking today, so we might get some news there. And then we've got some big news. S&P Global U.S. Manufacturing Index comes out tomorrow. We've got new home sales. Powell's also making some remarks. Native American Development Conference. So we'll see what we can glean as far as the economy from there. And then Wednesday, durable good orders. FOMC meetings coming out, minutes coming out on Wednesday. So I think that'll be a big day as well. And you've got another Thursday with jobless claims, real domestic product revisions, domestic income, and we got a lot of information. PC inflation. Friday's going to be a huge day as well, so we should see some volatility this week. Doesn't mean anything that we're pumping early on in the week. In order to anticipate some of this news coming out at the end of the week, I don't know, but it is something to look at. If this news comes out positive, this could be another catalyst to the upside. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens early in the week to really kind of look at what happens. I guess that's contradictory, but look what happens in the later part of the week. But definitely we've been going down to the downside for a minute, and so any movement to the upside is expected. Big news from Biden. Biden opened his mouth and said that if China invades Taiwan, that the U.S. would respond with military action. That's a huge statement. Man. Yeah, that is a huge statement. And so global stocks rallied and long jumps, right? And what we can say this is when the Ukrainian war was announced, right, early on in those areas, when we were talking about, we think this is bad for the economy, war is, just from a global standpoint, then the market rallied towards that as well. So after it rallied, it came right back down. I don't think the conflict with China is good for the economy overall. I think it exacerbates things like inflation, which is the Fed is currently trying to do. But, there may be some tricks in hand. Who knows? Maybe the government's smart, right? I can make the assumption maybe Biden and the Federal Reserve are in close communication, and that this is a strategic move in order to, help with markets. But I don't think so.
No.
I think this is stupidity at its finest, right? So I'd be interested to kind of look at some of the commentary around, how, in what context as well. I haven't read the entire context of the statement outside of just that statement. And so, we'll see what happens there. But early on, it's 8:36. Markets are open. We've got Dow that's pumping. Probably some defense stocks in here that are starting to take advantage of some of the things that are said. But technology stocks like Nasdaq's are flat, so crypto kind of follows that as long as the S&P is flat as well. So we will see what happens. That's all I got on my end. Clutch,
Let's do
take
it.
us to, take us to the hot blood.
I'm gonna take you to it for sure. All right, let's see what we got going on over here today. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, cool. So as you can see, we moved up. We're at 2.5 billion. We were around 1.4 billion last night on Keaton's Corner. So just in a little less than 12 hours, we've gone up about $1 billion. As you can see, we have a big gap here. That gap's ranging from 2087 down here to 2052. So these orders need to get filled. Will they continue to go up and get into some of these short liquidations, or are they going to go ahead and turn this baby around and head to the downside? That's I would say that's left to be determined, but I'm seeing some interesting stuff happening right here on Bookmap. I'll show you here in a minute. So I think we may have an idea of which direction this baby is about to go, and I think it's going to be to the downside here in just a few minutes. So let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And as you can see, we did break a new high recently, which is around 2087. And if we get down into, I'm going to go ahead and say down, all the way down to the 1920s, go ahead and expect some more downside. If not, expect us to possibly, we may just range in this area as well. Again, we have CME at 1968 from Friday's close, so it's not going to surprise me one bit if we work our way down there to go ahead and get that gap closed, and then possibly see that bounce that B. Wellington was talking about a little earlier in the show, because it is needed. We are anticipating it. It's just a matter of really when, and so we'll see when it happens. As you can see here, this is Bookmap. We're trading at the end of this chart profile range, but let me zoom out here so I can get a little bit more stuff loaded up here on the chart for you guys. As you can see, a big pool of liquidity was pulled away from the 2040 area, but you have some more areas that have popped up down here in 2050, 2040 area. Orders are starting to stack here. We're about to test the VWAP. Another order just popped up here, so I do think we're about to start sliding down. Probably at least maybe to the daily open. Let's see what happens when we get down into this area to see if we're gonna continue some downside action, which it looks like it's doing. So it looks like we're moving down. It looks like we're breaking out here, which is a really cool sign. So if you're currently looking to get in a trade right now, there's a few methods that we can use here. Let's zoom in here so we can. What we want to look for are low volume nodes with a bunch of orders over here, because as they go down, they got to kind of rearrange through this area. Fortunately, the only big order that we really have that's open as a limit order right now is right up here at the 67 area. We may not come back and get that, guys. This baby may be gone. But if it does, you might want to put a short order here with a tight stop, right above this 2067 area. But as you can see, the orders are continuing to pop up, and it looks like they're moving price down. So we did get that called right before it happened, but nonetheless, we did get it called. So that's all I got right now, man. Anything else you want to add for the day?
No, I mean, I'm looking at it. Looking at Bookmap is pretty. So a couple of things. Look, so even you're switching through. One thing I noticed, like I always look at, go back to Hot Block real quick. Which
Yeah, sure.
High block on hot, yeah. So I always look at the number up here where it says, total short liquidations versus total long liquidations. So we've got 493, right? And so, as we've kind of talked about before, I don't know if we've done it on air, but I know we've talked about it, how, long liquidations are so much easier to be liquidated. When you look at the liquidation charts over a period of time, long liquidations payouts are a lot higher than the short liquidations. And so having it this high, this early, I mean, we've only moved up from, I mean, we were at 1960s, 1940s for a little bit. And that balance just wasn't as out of balance. And it was probably more of like 60-40 longs to shorts. But for it to move up, so dramatically with just this short move up in price is pretty impressive. People are getting on board with every move to the upside. Of course, this is the perpetual market, and so these are more traders versus spot. And so we'll just have to look at how much of that is hedging spot, which hopefully we'll have some information about that here soon. And then going back to Bookmap, I just, when you start seeing those larger sell orders on the bottom of those ranges, we'll just kind of have to see, what that looks like. And another issue with this is we're so early in the move. Like, the market just opened, futures market just opened at 8:30, so 12 minutes. That might have been a stop hunt.
This actually wicked down and tapped the daily open.
Yeah, so which is exactly what we talked about.
Right on the money, yeah.
And then potentially to build some more of those longs so that they can liquidate them later. So interesting. I mean, it's interesting what's happening. I do expect more pump.
This right. Yeah. Someone got rid of those orders. This right here might be a good entry for a short if you're looking to get in a short.
Or if you're already in a short, to keep building it.
No, you just keep building it, baby. Because your invalidation point would be right up here at the end of this low volume node. Should be about 2078 and 2076. So you wouldn't be putting too much money at risk right there.
There you go. Well, that's all I got. These are my last comments are out there. Just be careful. It's a Monday. We've got a lot of news coming out this week, so just wait for things to develop and play it appropriately.
Whatever you guys do out there, make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you put some